How's everyone doing this morning?
Right.
Very well. Excellent. We all made it.
Okay so far.
Okay so far. Well, we are Forefront. And this session is called Rehearsal like Champions, which is something we don't tend to do. So we're going to try to go forward. So we figured we're going to start a little bit with just kind of the way we warm up, which is only going to take about 30 seconds. Because what we tend to do is a lot of personal warm-up. We do what we need to do. We haven't done quite as much this morning as we normally would, but there you go. And then one thing, when we do rehearse, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but when we get together for regular bi-weekly rehearsals for 3 hours, we don't tend to do a lot of specific rehearsal techniques. We do some, and we'll talk about that later on as we go forward. But we essentially just spend 3 straight hours singing. We kind of come in with goals set and say, we're going to work on these 3 songs. We want to be prepared with this when we arrive, and we want to have this set when we leave, and we just kind of go at it for 3 straight hours. But that said, we also spend a lot of time, I think more than a lot of quartets, especially not this past year, but the previous 2 or 3 years, did a lot of coaching. Probably almost every second or third rehearsal, we had a coach with us, and it was just getting lots of different information, and then kind of deciding what to keep and what to get rid of and whatnot. Yeah?
Will you take questions as we go along?
Yes, to an extent. Yes.
Is it one person in the quartet that sets out that program for the rehearsal?
We kind of discuss it by messenger, kind of between rehearsals. We'll say what do we want to do next time, and we'll discuss it and throw out ideas. There's no one person that sets the schedule. We're all fairly musically minded or performance minded or whatever it might be. We come at it with different skill sets. And so we discuss it and decide together what we need to improve on, and then kind of go at it together. It's a very equal collaboration, absolutely. But what we thought we would do this morning, we have a new-ish arrangement. We've had it for a few months, but we haven't worked on it very hard yet. And the arrangement is by Steve Tramack, and he is here. And so we decided, since we do get coached a lot, that's just a big part of our process, that this first hour or so, we kind of have a coaching under glass. So we'll take some questions as we go, but it's mostly going to be just kind of Steve working with us on the arrangement in front of you. Cool? Yeah. And then after that, for the second hour, when Steve has to go off and do his other class or whatever coaching he might have, we'll do some more rehearsal stuff and take lots of question and answer and go on from there.
Any copyright issues?
There won't be once I pay it. But the arrangement has been, actually this one's fine. I was thinking about the other song. This one's been cleared, and we're all set, so good to go. So, here we go. We're going to start with a little warm-up, and then we'll get Steve up. 1 second, sorry. Sure, we can do that. So this is just a vowel exercise that we always do at the beginning of every rehearsal. We used to have a lot of other warm-ups that we will probably go over in the second half a little bit, and we'll talk about what we use them for. But it's gotten to the point where once we get together as a quartet, this is all we do, and then we start singing.
And why do we do this?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah! And so we do that
that's
too.
Why
that's
also.
That's also how it works.
So to talk about that real quick, we use essentially 11 vowels that we talk about. There's a 12th one that we don't really talk about and use, but it's in there. So Scott Kitzmiller, who's the father of two of the boys in Instant Classic, has this vowel chart that he uses in a lot of his coachings, and that's one that we've adopted. And it has 4 different families in the chart. And so the first one is a, and then it's e, o, I, o, I, U, and U. So those are the 12 vowels, but of course we don't use the U sound. It's more of that Germanic U kind of sound. So we don't really use that, and so it doesn't end up falling into our exercise. But we stay within those vertical families, that a. So that's why we have cat, car, caught. And it starts off with all the same vowel together, and then we randomize them. So we're all singing different words at different times, but we stay within that family. And the goal is to make it still very resonant and ringy. And what happens then is we end up kind of compressing. So we go from cat, car, caught, where they're all very different, to cat, car, caught. They're still distinguishable, but very similar, and so they all ring well together. And then also, as we play through that, we find some of us as individuals need to fit kind of a little higher or a little lower on that spectrum, just based on the way our voices tend to resonate. So we find that within the quartet by going through that random exercise. Next. So now we'll go back to doing the same vowels together. Just one through. Okay. So we find ourselves a little closer together in that than the first time we had gone through it.
And they lock right away instead of tuning into it.
Not so much at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Ring girl. Accidentally did the same vowel.
Please don't do that too.
We stumbled into that.
Right on, everybody. They're just. It's just like. Sorry, I smile sometimes.
Well, that's good. Now let's move on.
Oh.
find that even E and U, which seem so very far apart, can actually be made to ring and resonate together by bringing them a little closer together. So you get closer to that U in the middle. So C becomes C, two, two. So there's a little bit of that E in the U, and a little bit of the U in the E. So all of a sudden there's this middle resonant spot. And it's not all U, but it's closer to that than the extremes.
This exercise involved too. Kevin and I used to sing the same note.
I was getting ready to get on my head.
All right. And got to the point where I thought, well, you know what? The baritone and leads typically do a lot of this stuff. We all know that. So I thought, we should probably do some swapping and really work the high and low stuff. So that's become something we do. A lot of the groups in our district do this exercise, mainly because we coach a lot of the groups in our district. So, and then they'll come back to us, and then they'll watch us do this or something, and they'll see the swap, and go, ooh, that's a good idea. And so we just sort of spread that love a little bit. And so our district of quartets has been very successful in the singing area, and it's a lot because of this. So we're trying to spread the love to everybody else, because that's our goal, is to sing very good.
Guys, what do you individually think about while you're going through this exercise? Are there a lot of things or a few things, or what are you not thinking about? What are you taking for granted, potentially, breath support, stuff like that?
It's become automatic.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to think more technical during that to make sure that we don't worry about it afterwards.
Right.
That's what that's for me.
I think less about the vowels. I kind of let that happen and let myself just migrate to where my ear wants to.
Right.
I'm thinking a lot about keeping the musculature loose, keeping the freedom, but also making sure everything is staying fully aligned, and all of that stuff. Just making sure that I get myself in that good singing position, so I'm ready for the rigorous rehearsal we're about to have.
It's not always been like this. When we first started doing this exercise, we couldn't line it up quite like this. We do it every time. Then the next big question is, how do you migrate what we're doing into the songs we sing?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it becomes second nature, and it just sort of automatically happens. But it's not an overnight thing. It takes a while. So.
Also, sometimes for rehearsal purposes, if there's a particular word that we're having a hard time locking in, we'll take out the chart and say, okay, it's here. This is the vowel. And then we'll even use that word in place of one of those other words, so that we're trying to really ingrain it into our minds that this is where it rings best, and we put it back into the song. And that's how we got to use ring for the I vowel, because of ring-a-ding-ding. So originally we were doing sit, because that's the one that was just written on the chart. But we switched it to ring because we sing ring-a-ding-ding, and it's just that same vowel constantly over and over again in that same word. And that's just become the standard for us.
Before we get to the song we're going to sing, I would just throw in one more thing. We used to do breathing exercises, the whole scales thing, up and down. We had this one that it would go up and down. They'd go up, join us, go back down. It was this really long one breath thing. And once we started doing this exercise, we could get rid of that one. Mainly because when I worked with some guys on this too, when you sing relaxed and resonant, this doesn't matter as much. I used to hate it when coaches they'd coach us through something. I say, it was ringing, it was great. They look at me and say, so what was different about that? And I just would be like, it was easier. And it's frustrating because it was easier. You sing easier, the product is a lot better. So anyway, this is about that.
Yeah. So I guess we'll sing the whole song once through, see what happens.
We're able to
And,
sing the whole song.
Knowing is half the battle. A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is there bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know? The earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow. She needs a friend. She needs a father, brother, sister, mother's heart. home, the only thing she really needs, I cannot give. Instead she asks a bit of earth to make it live, make it live, make it live. She should have a pony to gallop across the moor. She should have a doll's house with 100 rooms per floor. Why can't she ask for a treasure? Something that money can buy, that won't die when I give her the world. She asks instead for some earth, she wants a little bit of earth. She'll plant some seeds, plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, their beauty just the thing she needs. What she needs, she'll grow to love. The tender roses, lilies fair, the iris tall.
Cool, so, Steve Tramack.
Tremendous quartet. I mean, just, I'm so thankful, and I think we're all, so thankful to let them allow us in on this process, kind of at this stage of the development of the chart. Right? I mean, I think this is terrific. So thanks for for all of us for giving us a chance to hear how this develops. So, got to tell you, this is when you arrange something, oftentimes it really works great when you have the voice of the quartet in your head. And I've been dying to hear Kevin sing this song for a while now, and so it's really rewarding to hear how this is developing. So, have you guys talked much about the book, the story, kind of the backstory behind this? Just yeah. Just to
Aaron's behind.
All right, so the song from the Broadway musical The Secret Garden, and that musical is based off of the book The Secret Garden, which is it was written back around 1910 or so. It's actually a British children's story, and it's has worldwide popularity. But the basis, the baseline story here is that the young girl Mary, 10 years old, born to parents who don't love her, don't want to have anything to do with it. They're rich, they're British, they live in India, the servants take care of her, they want nothing to do with her at all. And so she grows up and she's resentful, she's bitter, and she's spoiled. There's a cholera outbreak, and it kills her family and all the servants. And because she's been locked away, she's spared, she's the only one left. So she's basically alone in this mansion. And she's found in ill health, and it's found that she actually has a relative. She has an uncle, Archibald, who lives in England. So she's sent to live with this uncle Archibald. Archibald is actually the one that sings this song in the show. So what we find is that when she arrives, and she thinks she finally has found a family, what she's met with are more servants that say, your uncle doesn't want to have anything to do with you. You'll be combined to these 2 rooms of this 100-room mansion. Right? You'll have nothing to do with your uncle. And so again, here she is, she's bitter again. At night, she hears cries. So finally, when she does meet him, and he basically says, are you getting along well? Is there anything you need? And what she actually has befriended one of the servants, Mary, who tells her about this secret garden, this walled garden that Archibald's wife used to tend to. She's been dead for 10 years, and it turns out she was killed in the garden. A tree branch fell. So at that point, he closed the garden down. He closed his life down at that point, and he's been grieving ever since this time. So basically, he says, is there anything you need? And the first time he looks at her, he sees his white eyes. He recognizes this is, he sees his wife in this, and she asks for a bit of earth. All she wants is a bit of earth so she can actually garden. So not only does he see his wife in her, he now sees the fact that she has the same love of the garden. So now he's torn, right? He's bitter, he's hurting, he's sworn that he's not going to let anyone in. But now he sees perhaps a chance at life and happiness. And it turns out the cries are actually his son, who is in the same position as Mary was. He's locked away, he's in ill health, he wants nothing to do with him. His son's mother died in childbirth. So now he's seeing this again. He's seeing, and the whole song is a struggle. The struggle is, can I open up my life? Can I live again? Can I feel love? Can I let her in? And he just knows that every time that happens, something crushes it. In the end, even if the garden grows, the earth will freeze and kill everything and kill the love. That's the story, and that's the struggle he's finding. And that's where we come in this song. So with that in mind, Kevin, would you sing us the song?
Sure.
Just Kevin.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom,
What is the bounty?
But is there bounty what she needs?
But is there bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know the earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow? She needs a friend. She needs a father, brother, sister, mother's arms. She needs to laugh. She needs to dance and learn to work her girlish charms. girlish charms. She needs a home, the only thing she really needs I cannot give. Instead she asks a bit of earth to make it live, make it live, make it live. She could have a pony gal across the moor. She could have a doll's house with 100 rooms per floor. Why can't she ask for a treasure? Something that money can buy that won't die when I give her the world. She asks instead for a bit of earth. She wants a little bit of earth. She'll plant some seeds. Their seeds will grow. Their flowers bloom, their beauty just the thing she needs. She'll learn to love the tender roses, lilies fair, the Irish tall. And then in fall, a bit of earth will freeze and kill them all. A bit of earth, a bit of earth, a bit of
Wow. Do that. There are so many places, right, in the song where that struggle, the internal struggle comes through, right, and it's always that desire, that want to give her the life she deserves, right, and in doing so, you know, maybe this is your chance of redemption, finally finding life again. But you know, every time that you risk that, there's pain. It ends badly, right? And every time you try to do something for someone you love, they die, or they're in ill health. You just and that's what you're struggling with. You're struggling to just, here's one more chance, right? So let's, with that in mind, let's all join Kevin. And let's look for some opportunities to find where that changes.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth. She'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs?
And wonderful. Right at that point, right? Kevin the thought about this could be the happiness, this is what she needs, but then the thought comes in saying, is this what she really needs? Does she really know? Right? And he had that thought about 2 words before you guys did. Right? That thought has to come in. It's growing, the flowers are blooming, but is that what she really needs? So have that, let those thoughts of doubt creep in just a little sooner.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs?
The flowers bloom, but right there. But so but is their bounty is where that changes, right? So it has to be. You're getting caught up with the fact that the flowers blooming representing the fact that this secret garden, and later in the show, it does have a happy ending, by the way. Later in the show, right? The fact that Mary, the girl, tends to the garden, and Colin, the son, also start to tend to the garden, and as the garden blooms, they both feel more free. They feel more life growing. And Archibald is away, and even he feels it. And when he returns, he doesn't know that the garden is in full bloom again. But he feels this pull. So we've got to feel the pull of the garden, right? The flowers bloom, but then there's that voice inside your head, but is that what she really needs? Because she's just going to get hurt. Right?
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know? The earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow.
Awesome. Really wonderful. Did that feel different? I think just identifying where the emotional pivot points are. Where do we feel these things before, and they happen right before the lyric, right? I think just recognizing that is going to just really allow this to blossom. Kevin and Aaron, can you guys duet, please, right from the top? And Aaron, look for all the embellishments that you have, right? Every time you have, particularly like the echo and does she not know, really what you are is you're Kevin's conscious. You're the voice inside his head that's saying, that's expressing and reinforcing the doubt. Right? So allow us to either, if you're leading him in, you're leading his thoughts. So be his conscience and the turmoil that he's feeling inside.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know? Does she not know?
That's really good. Can you face each other and find the passion and conviction on does she not know? Find that how can she dance to does she not know? Find that same passion. Surf right with Kevin.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, the birds are, shoot, my bad.
Sort of.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Right to that point, I think they're confident.
The difference that time is you didn't show your hand too soon, right? The flowers bloom, the seeds will grow, the flowers bloom. We're heading towards this could be the event, right? But then it changes, right? So don't tip your hand early. Make sure that you finish that thought before it changes.
Right.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know? Does she not know? The earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow. She needs a friend.
That's right. That's right. That's your 4 parts.
A bit of earth, she wants a little bit of earth, she'll plant some seeds. The seeds will grow, the flowers bloom, but is their bounty what she needs? How can she chance to love a little bit of earth? Does she not know? Does she not know? The earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow. She needs a friend. She needs a father, brother, sister, mother's father, mother's arms. She needs to laugh. She needs to dance.
How about a hand for these guys, huh? First A section is rocking. That's the path. That's the path right here. Consider, right, as you develop this, the earth is old. Right? What that's saying there is that the earth doesn't feel. Right? The earth has been here, it's constant. I can't change this. No matter how much, no matter how much wealth I have, no matter how much I want this. The earth is old, it's stuck in its ways, and it doesn't care. Right? So that expresses the fact that you are grieving and you have lost at this point all semblance of humanity. Right? He at this point he can only feel pain, and this is the first time in 10 years that he sees a chance for hope and redemption. And every time it sparks, the earth just crushes it. But that flame still grows, and here she needs a home. I can give her a home. She needs a father, brother. I can give her a father and a brother, a mother's arms. I miss Lily. But she needs to laugh. Right? It's at this point the positive energy is flowing. She needs to laugh. She needs to be a girl. Right? She needs to, and I can give her an environment where she can do that. So let this grow here, and let so that the energy and the passion grows to the point where when it turns, it's like, why can't I do this? Right? So start at. Can you actually start at the earth is old, because it starts to build on the grow to grow, those chords there, where it actually starts to say, this could happen.
The earth is old. The earth is old and doesn't care if it's small. The earth is old. Okay. The earth is old and doesn't care if one small girl wants things to grow.
What is possible? What could be?
She needs a friend. She needs a father, brother, sister.